Can we all just admit that addiction is in our nature? We jump at the first chance to satisfy our vices like monkeys on crack, whether the pointless addiction is coffee, cigarettes, shopping, or actual crack. However, the guiltiest pleasure our species have indulged in for the longest time is, of course, alcohol. Most attempts to treat humanity's collective alcohol problem failed depressingly as we inevitably relapsed with gleeful spite. In fact, alcohol is cheerfully destroying families faster than ever, with over 100 billion or 26.4 billion gallons consumed every year. Listen, we're living in 2023 now, where the brightest Heisenbergs of the world use the most advanced art of chemistry to create the best substance for abuse. And yet, we humans still insist on getting our lives ruined by old-school alcohol in particular. Let's try to understand this unhealthy relationship a bit better, yeah? Most omnivores love fruit like we still do, and for good reason. The inherent sweetness of fruit is a prime, hyper-efficient source of energy that can easily be found in the wild. So, nature is basically a giant never-ending battle royale game with every player trying to get the most of this precious resource. For simplicity's sake, let's divide it into round 1, fought within a fruit, and round 2, fought outside the fruit. Alright, round 1. All sorts of germs and mold have a scorched earth war to conquer this goldmine of moisture and simple sugars. The Goliath of mold, yeast, dominates the battlefield here. The battle starts when the fruit ripens to the point where the sugar concentration is just right. Yeast, essentially, spits on this treat first so the other bacteria or molds can't have it. The sugar becomes alcohol in this process, known as fermentation. So, unlike your father, if a fruit reeks of alcohol, it's actually good news because that means it's ripe, yes, but the risk of infection from bacteria is also minimized. This smell of alcohol attracts all sorts of hungry animals, and this is when round 2 starts. Us primates participated in the Hunger Games as well, and realized that we felt weird and drunk and happy whenever we got lucky enough to feast upon the spoils of victory. Is there any way we could make this liquid paradise stronger and more accessible? Our ancestors discovered that they could force fermentation if they put a bunch of fruit in a ditch and abandoned it for a while. This is how humanity invented liquor from natural fermentation. Using fruit was the easiest and most natural way to create liquor. Of course, our ingenious ancestors found other ways to temporarily escape reality if fruit wasn't available for whatever reason. In the colder regions, honey was watered down and fermented to make mead. When farming began, crops were used to make alcohol because they were way easier to store. Unfortunately, fruit-based liquor like wine have the crucial weakness of having a short expiration date. As soon as alcohol comes into contact with oxygen, bacteria starts hacking away, corrupting the alcohol into acetic acid, and eventually, vinegar. Grain-based liquor like beer weren't much easier either, because yeast was only able to break down simple or double sugars. Unlike fruits, grains are made of starch, so a catalyst called amylase is required to sufficiently break it apart for the fermentation process to start. Can you guess where the nearest source of amylase was? Human spit. Yup, that's why early grain-based alcohol was made by having some poor literal sucker chew up and spit out grains to kickstart fermentation. Our modern rendition of alcohol only first appears during the Bronze Age. The Phoenicians in the Mediterranean figured out that lathering rosin on the inside of the bottle preserved wine long enough to export overseas, and this unlocked a new era of alcohol abusers. The world's expanding trade network spread each region's alcohol culture to another. Beer got popular in Northern Europe, the entire Mediterranean world started growing grapes, and the Silk Road facilitated co-development of brewing tech with the Far East China, all so that humans could get drunk better. What a wonderful world, huh? The getting wasted part of alcohol was very important to religion, which is why most early religions in the world included something about alcohol being given to us mere mortals by higher beings. When giant, organized religions started to consume entire empires during the medieval era, the official teachings on alcohol took drastically different directions. While the Catholics hailed wine as a symbol of life and worshipped it as the blood of Christ, Islam explicitly banned alcohol because it severely damages logic and faith, which is arguably kind of the whole point of drinking, isn't it? Ironically, this ban had the exact opposite effect and allowed alcohol to destroy marriages at an unprecedented rate. Alright, so Mesopotamia and the Persian regions were famous for abusing beer from the ancient ages, right? Well, Islam conquered everything and said beer bad completely out of the blue. The law-abiding citizens instead used alcohol as an ingredient for alchemy, wink wink, and started fucking with it in every way you could possibly imagine. Boil, dry, freeze, melt, any excuse really to continue experimenting with an escape from reality. This is how alcohol, the chemical compound, was discovered. If you heat up something like wine or beer to a specific temperature, a suspiciously clear liquid gets distilled out. This was the secret, the very magic juice that humans love to abuse. It's called Al-Kul in Arabic, with kul originally meaning the powder used for makeup, because they would melt the powder in water, distill it, and the resulting liquid made their problems go away for a bit. When the Europeans got their hands on Al-Kul, the name got mutated to alcohol. Alcohol, initially discovered in the Arabic world, was used everywhere from disinfection to hair dye, opening up a whole new world for medicine and industry. As you could probably guess, non-Muslim countries with no prohibition didn't exclusively use this new technology for Allah-approved purposes only. Previous liquor was too weak and caused terrible hangovers. With the game-breaking distillation technology, they could now create stronger drinks with none of those impurities. Humans finally figured out how to cheat God and directly attack their livers for a better high. The European world adopted and advanced this technology early on due to its proximity with the Islam world. The best doctors gathered in Salerno, Italy to research alcohol in parallel to, quote, alchemists in the Iberian Peninsula, which was still under the rule of Islam. The Catholics weren't far behind. I mean, wine was already a crucial part of the Catholic identity. The monasteries were basically clubs with the best bartenders in town. Better holy juice? No way the Catholics can resist that. Distilled liquor spread like the plague among Europeans under the name of water of life, or aquavitae in Latin, and the names were mutated to recognizable ones like aquavit, eau-de-vie, and whiskey. Now, you could create alcohol with all sorts of ingredients. In Southern Europe, they distilled wine to create brandy or cognac. In Scotland, they distilled beer to make Scotch whiskey. In Northern or Eastern Europe, they forced the infamous vodka out of potatoes or flour. The East loved this new way of drowning their sorrows as well. The Mongol conquest torched a trail through both China and the Islam world, and the resulting culture exchange enlightened the Chinese to make their famous baijiu with the new distillation technology. Alcohol has always been with us humans even before we were humans, and evolved with us. As it became more and more accessible with the advance of technology, humanity started to realize that getting drunk and throwing a chair at your wife was, not good. Around 200 years ago, alcohol addiction started to be talked about as an actual disorder. In the 20th century, America tried to ban it outright with prohibition, and we all know how that went. It seems like us humans would literally do anything for the God-given right to poison our livers. This has been David Bradford from Knowledge Raiders, and don't drink and drive. But if you do, remember to shut up and call a lawyer.